Hi, this is Viktor Devonne, and you are listening to Season 3 of WEBurlesque, the podcast. Thank you so much for your support over the last year and a half. This is pretty exciting. We've done more than 60 regular episodes with a couple of bonuses along the way, and I have a bunch of episodes in the queue that I can't wait for you all to listen to. And I still have more interviews and conversations planned, so it's going to be a great season. I already know it. This is your reminder, however, that I do all of this by myself, and frankly, a little help and support goes a long way. As artists, we throw in a tip bucket, and any money that goes in helps keep the dream alive. So if you want to help out, you can go to patreon.com/WeBurlesque, and you can pledge as a regular monthly pleasure, or you can throw me a couple bucks on Cash App, or you can throw me a couple bucks on Venmo. It's Victor Viktor Devonne Devonne, and that's just the way it is. So thank you so much, and again, enjoy the rest of the season. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters, Michelle Donato, Stormageddon, Rob Starabin, and Kelly Blue. If anybody else would like to join that list, I will thank you in the next episode. Thank you so much. Welcome to WeBurlesque, the podcast. I am your host, Viktor Devonne, and today I am on the phone with extraordinary burlesque performer and producer of New York City, Miss Rara Darling.
Hello, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So I've only gotten to know you, I guess, in the last 2 years or so, but you have done quite a lot in those 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's just only not even 2 years since I started. But it's been quite the whirlwind.
When did the whirlwind properly start?
Probably maybe like 2 months after I started.
Okay.
I was invited to go to this speakeasy party at the Keep, where I was told there would be go-go dancing and burlesque, and everyone would be in costume, and there'd be a live band and all of that. So of course I show up and I'm the only one in costume. And there is a band, but I didn't see any dancers, so I went up to the bartender and I was like, "Hey, is there going to be burlesque? I was told there was going to be burlesque." And she was like, "Can you do it? We didn't actually find anyone." At this point I've been performing for 2 months. Live band was not on my radar at all. I didn't even have pasties on, but thank goodness I don't go anywhere without a rhinestoned bustier. So I was like, all right, let's do this. And I got up on the bar. I did kind of half burlesque because I didn't have any pasties on. Then she asked me back the next week and the next week, and then she ran away to India. So then I had a show. And so that was 2 months after I started. I became a producer by accident and I fell in love with it. And I think that's where the whirlwind started, because when I love something, I'm pretty much an all-out kind of person.
I'm of the opinion that usually when things fall into the lap of individuals and they really luck out on an opportunity, that's all well and good, because you never know what's going to happen, but there still has to be accountability and that person being good at their job to keep it. Anyone can get the opportunity, but to maintain it, I think, is really, really the true sign of character. So I'm really glad that worked out and that you've been able to sort of maneuver around the scene on your own terms. You were given this opportunity and you didn't fuck up. And that's always the best part. Because I've been given so many surprises. My time at Rock Bar was never promised to me. The people that I've gotten to work with, any titles that I've been able to snag along the way, or any traveling, none of that was promised. And I think a lot of performers come in with the risk of entitlement. So I'm really glad that you were able to, step up and feel yourself. How do you think that you did as a producer out of nowhere?
I think pretty well, because it's been a year and 7 months, and I've had this weekly show, and it's still going strong. I had Primal Scream, which lasted for almost a year, but, seeing that we had some issues with the venue, and we could talk about this later, but it just didn't seem like the right thing to continue at the moment.
Sure.
And then now Snack Theater, I think it's going pretty well. I think being so new to the scene and being thrown into producing actually kind of helped me. First off, I'd been going to a million shows because I was just obsessed and wanted to learn. And, I didn't have so much of an ego that I wasn't willing to listen to anyone who had advice for me. And so I can't credit it all to myself. I've had so many people really help me along the way. Beyond that, I think what made this sustainable is my extremely high standards for myself. Like, I never accepted it was okay to lose money on a show. I know that happens, but I push really hard because of these goals. And I have a goal I see constantly, and something I saw when I first entered the scene was people just wanting to get paid more and having ideas of where the scene should go. And as a newer performer at the time, I was like, well, I want to be part of this. I want to help this happen. And it's all gradual. And we all do what we can. But I think slowly but surely it is happening, and I would like to be one of the people that helps it move it forward.
Right, you're now a community leader. Just by absolutely, no, you absolutely are, because you're running regular shows. You're offering stages to people of all different skill levels and experience levels, and I think that's show business, and I think that's really important. And I also see you also, since you are so visible, I think visibility in burlesque is really important, because so much of burlesque, even though it's at the most mainstream that it's ever been, I mean, we say that, but it probably was frankly more mainstream back in the vaudeville days, because it was, regular entertainment. You just walk somewhere and you could see it. I don't think it's as visible as necessarily then, but it certainly is talked about more, and it certainly has more performers, and it certainly has more variety of performers.
I think it's getting there. I think it's getting there for sure.
Yeah.
At least most people know what it is, which is, I think, not true for maybe even 5 years ago. And, with schools popping up, like the School of Burlesque, it's more attainable.
Right. I think the internet has helped with that, because you can find it more. You can. I think it's allowed people to access it a little easier.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I think it's gonna become even bigger. I think it's going to. I'm hoping it will be seen on bigger stages and with higher production value and all of that. I really do see this for our future.
What do you think are some of the things that would have to be overcome to get it as high as on the radar, at the cultural radar, as say drag or general performance art? What do you think we would have to overcome?
As far as burlesque goes, or
as far as burlesque.
Well, I think what interests me most is variety and seeing something, within every act, something different. So for my shows, what I'm interested in booking is not just, your typical classic burlesque or even like a full nerdlesque show. I think that, that's wonderful. But I think in order to attain that, people need to see something they know first and recognize in order to get there. And so with something like drag, it does seem to be a little bit more in the mainstream right now, especially with RuPaul and
right.
and all of that.
We sort of need like a pop culture touchstone to sort of lead the way sometimes.
Exactly. However, with Snack Theater, for example, I work with a drag queen, Angelica Sunday, and we both kind of bring in different members of our community together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been awesome because we have two different crowds coming in to see what they know. And I think it's been getting more attention from people who otherwise would never come to a show like this because of all the different communities coming together and them telling their friends and them telling, this person they know at this magazine or this person they know at this network. So it's really exciting, and I kind of see it happening. There's a lot of question marks right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people making big promises, which without any sort of contract or anything. So I don't fully know what's going to happen, but it does seem to be gaining some attention and some more mainstream attention, which is cool as long as we are very cautious and smart that we don't lose touch with why we're doing this.
So let's jump back a little bit. Where do you hail from originally?
I was born in Virginia, and I grew up in Long Island, so I could probably Uber to my parents' home in half an hour from Brooklyn. I moved when I was pretty close to D.C.
Okay.
I think Arlington, but I'm not 100% sure I was born.
No problem. So what brought you to Manhattan and Brooklyn as a individual?
Well, I've always known this was my city. Being so close, it was a very short train ride in, and I just have always been in awe of it. There was never even a consideration in my mind that I would not end up here. But I've only been here for 4 years, and I'm open to everything. I think now growing a career of sorts here, it will be my home for at least, for a while.
For the foreseeable future.
Yeah. But I love it here. I think it's beautiful. I think all sorts of people come here to be the best at what they do, and therefore there's so many incredible people, and I'm amazed every single day.
Had you known what burlesque really was as an entity before you came to New York City?
Yeah, I was a huge fan before I even considered trying it. I loved everything about it. I tried to start a burlesque club at my college, which did not work, but I really wanted to try it. One day I saw that House of Yes was having an amateur burlesque night, so I signed up on a whim just because I thought it would be funny to try it, and then it became my career. So here I am now.
And you are a young individual. You're still in your mid-20s, I would say.
I just turned 26 a couple of days ago.
That's right. Happy birthday. That's right.
Thank you.
So do you feel that that you have like a lot of time? I was talking to another performer about this a couple of days ago, about sometimes burlesque performers, I've learned, I knew this of myself, and I've learned that other performers have had this as well, where they sort of feel there's like a shelf life that they sort of have, and maybe it's because we think, because we're in such a youth-obsessed society, that there's only so much time that we have. But I've learned that burlesque sort of gives you the opportunity, if you play your cards right, to really have a longer career if you really want it. Do you think you have, what are some of the things that you might have as a younger person, and you've already accomplished so much, that you might be looking at next?
Well, I want this to take me all over the world. I think that is an exciting idea in my head. But more so, I never want to stop performing, but producing is almost a bigger goal of mine.
Okay.
I would like to make this an industry in which people can actually make a living.
Sure.
And at least help to do so. I want to see this on bigger stages with higher production value, and what we do in the back of dingy bars is beautiful and amazing, and I think it's part of our history, and there's always going to be room for that, but I think that there needs to be more, and I would like to help push that forward.
It really seems to be like I wish there are so many times where I wish more people could see it. Like I participate in so many fantastic shows and I book such fantastic people, and I look out and I'm like, dozens of people are seeing this, and great. But damn, people missed a great show in the longer run. I would love not just the exposure for the individual, but also for the audience to have access to that, because I think that's really important as well.
People don't know that they need this because they don't really know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that changing. I really do. I especially with different offers and different people who've been expressing interest in what we're doing with Snack, I'm like, I'm not sure where this is going to go and how fast this is going to go, but it seems like it will go somewhere. Mm-hmm. And if not with this show, with another show. And, with Sasha Velour, now has a TV show, and it's not burlesque, but it's drag, and that's still part of our community and our history, and that's so exciting. It's just, there's so much room for growth here. I don't think that we should ever move away from these little bars, because that's a place for family and community. But there does need to be more. We don't need to accept that we need 3 other jobs to make this work.
Yeah, we have the right to have us be just as much stars as anything else, as anybody else in any other entertainment industry. I'm with you on that. I'm absolutely with you on that. So
I think so.
What were some of the shows that you were able to? Who were some of the performers and some of the exposure that you got to see once you got to Manhattan that influenced and that you felt connected to?
Wow. That is such a hard question.
It is, but it allows you to grow on it. You don't have to try to fit everyone in.
Well, I think in the beginning days, 2 of my biggest influences was Darlinda, Just Darlinda, and Pearls Daily for very different reasons. I feel like my style is a mixture between ultra femme classic and like the most bizarre I could possibly get. I like challenging people's idea of what sexy can be. So you get Pearls on one hand, who just is the most beautiful mover I think I've ever seen.
Yes, exquisite.
Fantastic, and so it's gorgeous to watch. And then Darlinda, who's doing just that, challenging everyone to what sexy means and making it funny and beautiful at the same time. But beyond that, there's so many people. I'm constantly in awe of our community. I guess another person is my co-producer, Angelica Sunday. I saw her perform and immediately fell in love and knew that I needed to work with her. It was just like, your brain is beautiful. Again, so many people.
So when you work on the production side of things, obviously you have really 3 different shows. I know one is on hold right now, but the first one that you got was Keep Easy Sundays. How would you explain that show for the uninitiated?
Well, it is a weekly live jazz burlesque show located at the Keep, which is this beautiful bar that's dripping in antiques and weird magic. And you'll get something different every week. So one week it'll be someone really classic, and the next week we'll have a drag queen doing burlesque to a live band. We really like the idea of someone telling a story to the live band because it's all kind of improv. You have the costume, you have a concept, but you're moving with what the band is creating for you. So it's really cool. We have games, and we have go-go dancing, and people can get up there and sing with a live band. And so I think it's one of the coolest open mics in New York, as far as I'm concerned.
What is the name of the house band, or the band that you work with there?
The Keep Cats. We've been working with them since the beginning.
Now, were they the original band that was there that you started working with, or did you bring them on as part of your show?
Yeah, I mean, members have changed. The band has definitely, it definitely looks different than it did when we first started, but some of the key members are still there, and it is the same band, the same name.
How involved with them do you get? Do you let them do their own thing, or do you count yourself as part of the creative control of that, or do you let them do their thing?
A little bit of both. I think as far as the show goes, it is collaborative, but I do consider myself, with Midnight Moon, the head producer. So I like to have some control over what the night looks like. However, as far as the band is concerned, I think they work best when you're like, hey, this is my concept. I'm going to be an ice cream cone, and I'm going to eat myself. And
work with that.
That's how my clothes are going to come out.
Yeah.
And they'll totally kill it. They'll take that and run with it. Or you can tell them a concept. You can tell them just a speed or a song that you would like them to do to base what they're doing off of. They're truly amazing. They really know how to work with burlesque dancers. They can read you and what you're doing in your movement, so it works.
I will say I've done the show once, and it was a lot of fun, and I was very not surprised. I was delighted by meeting the band, and they asked me two questions. First, they asked me, one, what my pronouns were, which frankly I don't get asked at most shows. I don't see other people getting asked, and I think that's really cool that a band, which you don't necessarily consider a lot of the music industry, even in nightlife, to be on that thinking path, which I thought was cool. And then they said, so what's the outfit? What's the style? How do you want to move? And I was like, well, I have feather fans. I'm thinking something maybe a little smoky. I think I gave them Peggy Lee as a reference point, and they just went ahead and nailed it. And they said, oh, how do we know when you're done? And I said, I'll end up in this outfit or in this attire. And that was all we needed. And I think that was a lot of fun. I really enjoy working with a live band when they know what to look for in who they're performing with, not just perform behind them. And I thought that was a really cool collaborative moment.
Yeah, they really truly are amazing. I'm constantly wowed by them, and I think even since then they've gotten 10 times better. They have new members. We have a trumpet and a saxophone now, which I love. I think it elevates the band so much. And then, we have some interesting instruments on there, and they're all very good at what they do, and they love what they do. And I think they're also willing to learn. They're mostly cis men, and I am a very, very queer person. And so, they hear what I'm saying on the microphone about pronouns, and I don't need to tell them. They get it. And that's amazing. And it's totally changed my perspective on working with, maybe semi-queer cis men. I'm not sure how all of them identify, but
it sort of gives it sort of gives you perspective, like, well, if this is what I can get used to, then everybody else better rise to this level, because I know it can be done. Yeah, I agree with you. So, how did you bring on Midnight Moon as a collaborator for Keep Easy Sundays?
Midnight Moon was there from almost the beginning. I think she was good friends with the bartender that initially started the show. Mm-hmm. And there was one day where I couldn't perform and Midnight performed, and then we just kept coming in and performing together. When the bartender went away, we grew the show together. So it was almost from the start that we were working together, and it's been such a match made in heaven. I love this girl. She's so quirky. I think she's a fabulous performer. And she deserves to be performing a lot. So I think, she works super hard. She does a lot of different things. She's an amazing milliner and costume maker. So it's really cool that she gets to at least perform once a week here at Keep Easy. And hopefully more.
How do you collaborate with them? Is it like 50-50? Do you handle one thing over the other?
Well, she's not only just my co-producer, but she's one of my best friends, and I'm lucky to say that of most of the co-producers and people I work with. So basically, it depends on the week. We pick up slack where the other one needs it, and we've been doing this for so long that we kind of fallen into a rhythm. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping to, expand it as much as we can. It's cool. We've gotten some private gigs here and there with the band. But, yeah, it's pretty easy peasy with her.
So we have Keep Easy Sundays. Explain how Primal Scream ran and what you've learned perhaps from that experience that if you bring that up again, how you might adjust it.
So Primal Scream was, or is, I'm not sure quite yet, it was a kinky queer cabaret, and it was a variety show, so it was drag, burlesque, sideshow, whatever fit in with the theme, that led into a queer, we like to call it a pansexual teaching dungeon. So it wasn't really a sex party, more like a kink party. We had stations. We had a hot wax station, an impact play station, rope, sensation play, cuddle puddle, all sorts of things. And a big part of that was teaching about consent, teaching about kink as far as being queer is involved. So part of consent is not misgendering someone and asking for pronouns or not gendering someone at all. And it was great for a long time. I think it was great for the people that came. But at some point, it started to feel like underpaid sex work, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. I loved what I can do for people, especially with queer people, giving them a sensual learning experience that felt safe and a safe place for people to explore this. And I've gotten a lot of feedback to just that from people. But I know that I and maybe some other people working it consistently started to feel drained at the end of the night. And it didn't help that it was not great working with the venue.
Sure.
The venue was run by cis straight men that didn't have the same goals in mind. And I think a lot of people had issues working with them, but I felt the need that we needed to walk away.
Did you feel that it was exploitative or that they just didn't give a fuck what you were doing?
I think maybe a little bit of both. I think they liked what we were doing. We practiced plays every single time, but they had ideas of what they thought would be better. Like, why don't you just hire sexy women? Or
yeah.
And that's not what this is. This is a very queer space for people of all sexualities and genders and identities. And I ended up feeling not extremely safe there. So I think in order to have a party like this, everyone needs to feel safe.
Absolutely.
So,
it's a vulnerable state. It's a public vulnerable state, too, yeah.
It definitely is. And it's helped me work through a lot of stuff. I think it was really beautiful for me for a while. And I learned so much about my own desires and my own boundaries and a lot about consent by doing this. Of course, we did extensive research all the time and talked to lots of members of the community. So it was a great learning process, and I don't think I'm done with it, just maybe like this. I think if we were to
remix it a little.
Yeah, if we were going to do it again, a way to make it a little more sustainable, maybe not a full-on show right into a dungeon. And there was another show right before it, so we only had a limited time, so we had to really, everything was so unmarked. It was stressful. I was managing everything. It was all coming out of my pocket, and it was like a $1,500 show for someone who was very new to producing. And wasn't given any money from the bar, which, is not the case for most shows. But it became difficult.
Understood, yeah.
But, again, I think it is beautiful, and in some capacity I would love to do something similar. I love being somewhat of a sex educator and teaching people about consent, and especially and giving the queer community a safe place to explore things like this.
It hits close to home because White Elephant Burlesque started in both the convention circuit and the kink community. A number of events that we first started doing, we did Libertine Ball in Philadelphia, which was a kink and bondage event, sort of in the fashion sort of sense, but also with an element of interaction, I would say. And then we've done a couple of play parties, and a number of our roots are sort of in that lifestyle and in that practice. So to have, I think, having done a lot of really great kink events and having done a few really undermanaged, I'll say, kink events, I don't know if I think it all sounds fun. It all sounds like a fun idea. We'll just have a play party, or we'll have this kind of thing. I think the people who run those venues or are the ones in charge, like not just the people who run the event, but the people that the event coordinators have to work with, forget about their own liability, their own reputation, and their own responsibilities. It is a huge undertaking, and you can't half-ass something like that. You can't half-ass that. You can hire a great coordinator, but if you're not prepared for fallout or making sure people feel safe or getting rid of that guy in the corner who's not a good person to be there, you're not doing a job. And I think that's something you really have to take into account.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We had a one-strike policy and about 3 or 4 consent talks, which, lucky for us, I think it really stuck with people, and we never had the problem. I completely agree. There is accountability when throwing a party like this.
My name is Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon, and I'm the host of Crash Chords Autographs, which is a bi-weekly podcast in which I interview entertainers all over New York and more, from musicians to magicians to comedians to burlesque performers and anything you can really think of. Anyone who's willing to talk, I've had them on my show. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and more. You can also follow us on our website, which is crashchords.com. And remember, music is life, and life is good.
How did Snack Theater come into existence, and what is the sort of mission behind that?
So I saw Angelica perform one day, and I was instantly in love. I think she's brilliant. She's so brilliant. And so I asked her to hang out, and we got drinks, and we decided that we wanted to work with each other. I got the opportunity. I got a call saying that this new venue, Chelsea Music Hall, which is located under the Chelsea Market, it's quite big. They have access, and they really provide professional lighting. They provide professional sound. That you can build a runway on the stage. It's big enough to set up props, and they have a dressing room that allows people to have their own private space.
Excellent.
Which is almost unheard of.
Basically, yeah.
So as soon as I got the call, I knew that I would want to work with Angelica. And we said that if we were to work together, that we want to create something big, something huge, something that could at one point make us a career and something that could sustain us and also help sustain other performers in our community. We also want to create something that would highlight what people do and make it the most beautiful it can be by providing resources like professional lighting and sound. And Chelsea Music Hall has been one of the best venues in the world to work with. They really care about this show. They're willing to really work with us to make sure it's a great production. So I think we've been doing just that, and I'm not sure if we knew how big it could get. And we've had over 200 people at every show so far, which is extremely exciting, and I think it's almost time to expand what we're doing, maybe doing multiple shows, maybe, creating in the name of Snack Theater, but in different capacities. So we have been getting some attention from people that are outside the community. There was just an article that came out about us saying that we are giving queer performers a proper stage, which felt nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
What is since you have so much going on and you also do perform at other people's shows, like you're an independent contractor as well, what do you do to relax? How do you come down from all of this?
I don't relax much, to be honest.
Sure.
I work extremely hard and every single day. But Angelica and I always make sure that we have one day after snack. I mean, this is months of day and night work. we put everything we have into this show. But we do make sure that we're having fun with it. So we're doing research for the next snack, and we went to Coney Island all day and spent like 7 hours there and just had fun. And we make sure that we get celebrate in some way. I have been trying to save up so I can go away for a while, which I'm going to be going away with Lady Bedbug, my
yes.
love. We're going to be going away. We'll be away for like 3 weeks. We will be working a little bit. We're going to be performing in Fire Island. But mostly we're just going to enjoy, which is something that I have not gotten to do in a long time, so I'm very excited. And
sort of allow yourself to chill, as it were.
Replenish, be in nature. I used to be a wilderness orientation leader, so being in the city and not having access to much nature is very difficult.
Interesting. What was that like?
It was great. I think it's so funny. My life has kind of just gone in so many different directions.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure how I ended up here, but I think I just have a lot of interests, and sometimes it's hard to include all of them in my life.
Valid. There's almost too much time, because you can almost spend too much time thinking about, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this, and it's sort of hard to focus on one thing at a time sometimes. I feel that way. Yeah. And that can be sort of incapacitating.
Yeah.
Then you get nothing done. Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. So, who are you mentioned Lady Bedbug as someone that you are close to? Who are other people that you regularly work with that you see something in as either a progressive good step in burlesque and nightlife, or are holding it down as is, that you like working with?
So many people. I think I
sure.
have, a smaller family within a larger family. I think that would include God Complex and Cité Bonton and Junior Mint, and I think now that I'm so closely connected to Angelica, her family has become my family. So like Minnie Horowitz and Queen Robert. But yeah, I love my family, and I'm extremely blessed to work with such incredible people that I think are doing some progressive and new stuff that's not just typical burlesque, but that combines other elements of performance, and that really shares some of my goals with me. And I've been working with a lot of newer performers lately that I see, working with and kind of bringing up with as I go up, hopefully. So there's Milo and Savion and Iodine Quartz. They've all been in recent shows of mine, and they're incredible. I think they're super new, so they don't have as much stage time, but they will. I know they will. I see something in them. Not because of me, but because of them.
Well, sometimes, you can always be the change you want to see, someone said. So, you have the opportunity to, especially with people that you either are colleagues with, or that you consider part of your burlesque family, or your drag family, your nightlife family, or your crew, as it were. You all can learn a lot from each other, and I think that good burlesque doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's a collaborative effort. Either you're working with other performers, or you're working with an audience and giving them either your story or helping them figure out their own. So it's not a selfish sport, I find.
No, this community is the most supportive community I've ever been a part of. It's really amazing, and what people have done for me is for others.
For someone who is interested in learning more about you as an artist, how would you explain yourself? How do you define your aesthetic, what you like to do on stage, how you work with an audience?
So I have a million different identities. I mean, I literally have 4 different names and personas right now with different jobs and stuff that I do. But I think Rara, the character of Rara, kind of based off of this starlet who looks perfect, and for as anyone who does not know her is concerned, she's living the dream. But I really am intrigued by the darker side of all that glamour and beauty. Mm-hmm. So I really like mixing something very classic and beautiful with something tragic and dark and twisted. And then in that case, challenging what is sexy and what is beautiful. Mm-hmm. But Rara kind of plays lots of different characters, like you've seen. I think I've done this mostly for your show. I can do a SpongeBob striptease, and then the next moment I am possessed by the devil and taking my clothes off and ripping my neck off and covering myself in blood.
Well, I mean, all in a day's work.
That's our job, isn't it?
Well, how do you? So I do get that Hollywood reference from you. I do see you, especially when you have like the platinum blonde sort of ringlet hair. It is evocative of like that Jean Harlow. Or I mean, Marilyn's such an easy, obvious choice, but some of those, frankly, superstars of old Hollywood that sort of allow you to. You remind me in a lot of ways as another one who, especially with that platinum blonde, can get in the dark. Velocity Child, who is a legendary producer and performer, and sort of with you said it again, like bringing in like the darkness or allowing the sadness or the tragedy, and sometimes a lot of blood. Sometimes I see that, and I think that that is I love juxtaposition. I love a a smile with a knife behind the back sort of situation. What do you feel? Why do you think that is so comfortable as a motion for you?
I think, I think Rara is very different than who I am in my muggle life. So
okay,
but at the same time, I think being very queer and a big feminist, like most of us are, in some capacity, and this maybe was coming out of being naive to what burlesque is. I wanted to make sure that I was doing this for me and not to simply just turn somebody on. And if I were to do that, which I love to do, I am a bit of an exhibitionist and have been known to go pretty far with my performances. But
what counts as far? How would you define far?
Just full-on nudity.
Okay.
Shocking images such as ripping my neck off or things like that.
Okay.
But I wanted people to see me first how I think society would want to see me, and then twist it around and be like, you still think this is sexy. Now, maybe you can question what is sexy, what can be sexy, what
right.
attracts you to this art form.
I mean, it is such a turnaround. It's sort of like a switch up, and just sort of hey, surprise! This is what's going on. You thought I was you thought I was the ingenue, but I'm also the big bad wolf. That opportunity.
Yeah, and we can be all of that. I think being socialized as a woman, I'm told I'm supposed to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I could be any way I want to. I think I can be that. If that's what's making me feel good and that's what makes me feel good, I think there's nothing. I think it's beautiful. And there's so many classic, gorgeous performers that are just stunning and empowered and fierce as hell. For me, that's not the only thing that makes me feel beautiful. The thing that makes me feel really beautiful is telling stories, and often how that translates is very dark and twisted in my head. I don't know how I became to be this way, but here we are.
Within moments, she was already in the shower, letting the heat provide much-needed permission for her mind to drift to the hours ahead. She was an efficient shower taker at home, but here she allowed herself to linger. It was time to switch gears and prepare herself to be something for someone else. Those unchecked emails would wait for Tuesday. The steam filled her mind as she caressed her unloved body. She shuddered at the thought. Jesus Christ, yes, she was loved. She had a family she grew up with and supported her. The collie of a convenience at home in the shape of a college sweetheart. The single mothers who knew she had their back and almost for clothes that she got the extra week to pay. People are complicated, she thought. It was as good an excuse as any to allow herself to a momentary feeling of abandonment. The flip phone in the other room made its familiar MIDI chime. She caught herself postponing again, even when it served her, especially when it served her.
Viktor Devonne presents Two Nights Stay, Stories from the Gilman.
When you are curating a show versus being in one that is the other producer's responsibility, what do you look for in who you have in your shows? Let's speak to Snack Theater first in that regard.
Snack Theater, we're definitely looking for people with highly conceptual acts that I think most acts tell a story, but that maybe push this along a little further. We're looking for 5-minute theater pieces. We want you to put on a full-on show in 3 to 8 minutes. And we've been really lucky to have a lot of support in this and people creating new acts based off of the themes. But if not that, then we will choose anyone that we kind of see that fits in with this campy yet a little dark, with a little dark edge vibe. And that fits in the theme, and we'll write a show around it. It's all cohesive, so it's scripted. We don't have a typical host.
How does that work that it's scripted specifically?
So our host, the incredible Julia Register, she's a professional actress. she's amazing. She's a character actress. She plays a narrator and not just a host. So once we have all of the acts and we know what everyone is doing, then we can write a story. And then so the order of the show can't be changed, because although it's little individual acts, it all comes together within one larger picture. So, it's not really, it is a cabaret show, but it's not really a typical cabaret show. I think it's a cabaret theater piece, which is what makes it a little bit different. And it's a sit-down show, and it starts on time. And
what a novel approach.
It really is, though, isn't it?
So it's a theatrical piece, sort of every time.
Yeah, it is. It's cohesive. Angelica and I do 3 acts each, which ties the story a lot together. We'll open and we'll close, and we're doing this once. These aren't acts that we can just take to any other show. So,
why is that? What makes them unique?
Big props, multiple people. There can be up to 8 people within an act.
Wow.
Which I think it's hard to do when you have a certain budget for shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's really cool that we are able to do this.
Do you think that it's one of your most fulfilling ventures thus far?
Absolutely. I love all my babies, but I think this is the one that's going to at least push my career forward. At least it seems that way right now.
It fits the most with what you want to do.
I think so. I mean, everything I have done, I have so much love for, but I have the most control over this one, and it's the most visibility I've ever gotten for a show that I've done. So, in that sense, yeah, I think this is the clear next step.
Is creative control a necessary element for you?
Well, I don't need to have creative control over people's acts.
Sure.
I think letting people do what they're best at makes the show the best it could be. But, yeah, it is.
But curating and structuring.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't, as we move forward and hopefully can increase our budget at some point, I want to bring people on a larger capacity. I don't feel like I need to be doing every single little thing for the show. We do everything. We write it, we direct it, we produce it, we are in 3 acts each, and it's hard. We have an incredible stage manager, which makes a whole lot of difference. That's Queen Robert. We've been working with the same sound person each time, the lighting person. And we have, Junior Mint, who hosts a costume contest, a runway contest, an intermission.
And they're wonderful.
Really,
they are so charming.
They are the most positive person I've ever met. I love them, and I see huge things in their future. Yeah, we're kind of creating a family here, and as we move forward, we want to give people more responsibilities, and right now we aren't at a point yet where we can pay everyone appropriately for that, and that's a huge plus of ours for sure. It's a real job.
We talked about it so early, and a lot of times that's usually sort of like a conclusionary thing. But you're going in such a head first direction of this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, this is how I want to do it, and I think that you have all of these pieces already together. It's just a matter of of timing and budget and getting it together. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I don't take no for an answer. So I as far as my own goals are concerned, and as far as my control over it goes. So
do you have a theatrical background?
I was actually quite a jock in high school. I did 3 varsity sports, and in college I played ice hockey.
Wow. Now I'm imagining that in a gown, and I'm just because
that's my gender. Me and all butched up, but with like a long gown. I minored in theater in college. I quit sports my senior year and did one play, and then I decided to minor in theater like 2 years into college. But I didn't really do anything with it. I did not think that this would be my career in any capacity. I didn't see it as an option. And yeah, I guess here I am, and this is fully what I do. I don't know how I got here really, but I'm so happy to be here. It feels like a calling of sorts. I know that sounds a little cheesy, but what I want to do.
That seems. I think like. I understand that that is sort of that can be used as a cliche, but I think some cliches are there for a reason, and I think that those who jump on cliches as being automatically incorrect, that means they don't have a calling. That means they're not listening. They haven't been paying attention. But it seems like you have been given excellent opportunities, and you have been big on the fulfillment end of that, and I think that's really admirable.
Thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you, such a figurehead in our community, and really someone that I've looked up to from the beginning. I think you're one of the people that gave me some of my first opportunities.
Thank you.
You're extremely important to this community. I think everyone feels that way. So
well,
not
really everyone feels that way, but thank you.
As far as I know.
Well, good. So before we wrap, I thank you for taking time out of your extraordinarily busy schedule. And if anybody has any question, you check out Rara's Instagram in the footnotes, because not a week goes by where you don't have a whole lot going on.
Oh, yeah, I don't even post about everything I'm doing. I do shows. I'm big on promoting shows. Sure. But
I mean, I think that's important. How have you been managing in this wake of burlesque shadow banning and Facebook not really being all that sex positive, so we get, lost in the shuffle?
It's really hard. I feel like I can't fully publicly go into everything, without giving away too much information here because of Festa Fosta. I can't fully talk about what I do from the day to day. And I risk not only hurting my own self, but hurting those who are associated with me. So it's difficult. I get posts deleted all the time, and I'm completely shadow banned. I know that, for some of the other accounts, for my show accounts, when I look myself up, I don't come up. And that really hurts promotion. And it sucks. It really sucks. I don't know if maybe one day there'll be a platform that makes it safer for people like us, but right now I think we're in a very strange time that on one hand is extremely sex positive. People are definitely a lot more open-minded than they once were. And on the other hand, our government doesn't do anything to protect us. They are, I think, actively hurting us. So, and
there's
corporations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's absolute way. I mean, there is a rule of thought that, well, I mean, bands and performers and entertainers were able to do everything before social media, and while I understand that is true, culturally speaking, we have, and I don't want to be like, everyone's on their phones, but you know what? Everyone's on their phones, and I'm not mad about it. I'm just acknowledging that that's a reality. So I think to just for anyone to discredit the idea of that, well, you somehow have to. So people got around that before. No, but they didn't have the choice. We have this going on as a reality, and I think it's a big struggle for lots of folk that. And I don't know the answer. Unfortunately, it pisses me off to no end that I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah, I don't think any of us do at this point. I think, everything comes with time, and I think everything I'm a pretty hopeful person. I think things have opportunity to go backwards, as we see right now with the current administration, but also a lot of moving
it's
forward.
Like backwards and to the side. It's like I wish. I mean, it would almost be like understandable if we could. I know we can draw parallels to terrible events in the past going on right now, but it's almost it's a different kind of backwards. It's so exhausting and appalling.
It's yes, it's horrifying. But at the same time, and maybe I'm just in this little bubble, I see so many people who are so against everything that's going on and so willing to speak up and help. And maybe that's part of what being in this community is about, where a lot of us come from backgrounds where we're not really accepted by society, whether that's being queer or a person of color or, having a different gender identity. We work with a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
And so, people who've experienced struggle, I think, are often the first ones to speak up and help out. So I do see a lot of good in our future, and I see a lot of bad too, but I am hopeful. I think maybe that could be naive, but
it's you know what? There is a way of just lying down on the tracks and just saying let it come, but there's another way of also like, okay, well, the train's coming. What do we do? Sometimes you know what? Get to the side of the tracks. Make sure other people are off the tracks if you can, and move the cow. Basically, get it all together. Like I don't have an answer for how to fix it, but I'm also here, and I got to keep working, and I got to keep doing, and live my life, and expect that the people that I care about have a right to live the lives that they have as well. It just sounds so revolutionary, and it's so disappointing.
Yeah, right. It is.
Well, I thank you for your hope, and I thank you for your giving people opportunities and giving stages to those who need it, and voices, therefore, to the frequently silenced.
Likewise.
And solidarity, man. You are an absolute important part of the scene, and I really appreciate it. And I think that everyone should check the footnotes for ways to keep in contact with most of, if not everything, that Rara Darling is up to. There will be links to all the socials. Follow and like and comment, because that apparently seems to be the best way of keeping in touch with folk and making sure they show up on your feed. And anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
Just thank you so much for having me.
No, my pleasure.
It means a lot, and all the kind words that you said. I'm really excited for what's to come.
Excellent. Well, here is, as I raise my imaginary glass, here's to what's next to come. Folks,
clink.
I've been chatting with, and you have been listening to, WeBurlesque, the podcast with Viktor Devonne and Rara Darling. If you want to throw us some dollar bills over at patreon.com/WeBurlesque, that's awesome, because all of this is for us and by us. And we'll see you around. Thank you so much, Rara. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, Victor.
Mwah. Goodbye, everybody. Bye.